Hi guys, Joe here and welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and lows from around world football this weekend. Today, as ever, I'm joined by Patrick Van Straten. He's not a happy bunny. Pato, where are we starting it off,
mate? We have to start with Arsene Wenger. He's our first loser of the day, thanks to a 4-3 home defeat for Arsenal at the hands of Liverpool yesterday. Now, this was a very disappointing result. Arsenal are missing a lot of players at the moment, guys who haven't come back from the Euros and guys who are injured, and that's a real problem. In this game, they had to start Alexis Sanchez up front, and whilst he may well turn out to be a good centre-forward, at the moment he doesn't look quite suited to the position. Because of the Liverpool press, Arsenal wanted to play the ball over the top, but when you've got Sanchez, whilst he's very strong for his height, he is going to get bullied out of it by centre-backs, and they really struggled with that. We saw a young centre-back pairing who admittedly did their best. I didn't think that the goals were really their fault, but they did fail to get some adequate protection. And I think in this situation, Arsene Wenger has only himself to blame.
I agree entirely that he's only got himself to blame for this situation. Everybody on earth knew that he needed a striker and he needed a centre-back, particularly when Per Mertesacker got injured, and he hasn't bought one. His board has said he's got the money, and it's just not worked out. He bought a central midfielder, Granit Xhaka, looked a fantastic signing at the time, but he doesn't trust him to start a game against Liverpool. Maybe he's blaming him not being fit enough. However, if he's not fit enough, why is he then fit enough to play 24 minutes of the game? He comes on with 24 minutes, tries to do far too much, gives away 4 fouls out of his 6 tackles, gets booked. Not the best start for Granit Xhaka. And then to make matters worse for Arsene Wenger, Alexandre Lacazette goes and scores a hat-trick for Lyon. Arsenal fans must be hopping mad. However, Arsenal fans, let's not jump to too many conclusions straight away. There's still a week left, over a week left of this transfer window. He's going to go out and sign a player, surely. So Pato, Arsene Wenger has just 2 weeks left of the transfer window to right all of his wrongs so far. But you guys at home, let us know in the comments who Arsenal need to sign, who do they need to get through the door to make sure this slump doesn't become a serious problem.
Our first winner of the week, unsurprisingly, is Liverpool Football Club after a handsome away victory. Joe, tell me about their attack.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp must be a really happy bunny. That attack looked extremely fluid. Personally, I was a bit worried about Liverpool going into the season. I thought they bought an abundance of attacking midfield talent and had particularly left out left back and central midfield areas. But that attacking midfield talent was really on display this game. Firmino and Coutinho were fantastic. Firmino has now been involved in 13 goals in his last 15 Premier League games. Very impressive stat. That's 9 goals, 4 assists. And of course, Coutinho on the day, an absolute magician. For 30 minutes, he turned up in the middle of the game and just completely blew Arsenal out of the water. A fabulous free kick, and he was just conducting moves from in the hole. As soon as Wijnaldum pushed up a little bit more as well, he was much more effective. And Sadio Mane, wow, what a buy he looks to be. If he's as electric as he was against Arsenal, he could be one of the signings of the summer. Liverpool have now scored the most goals of any Premier League team in 2016, of 41 they've got now, and they've still got Sturridge to come back. Exciting times for the Reds, Pato.
But it's definitely a different story at the back for Liverpool. Now, as you said, Mane, very impressive, and Wijnaldum too. But we actually see this embarrassment of attacking riches in Liverpool's team, and you wonder if the 25 million that went on Wijnaldum would have been better spent going on an elite defensive midfielder. Now, in this game, they had an extremely attacking formation. They went 4 or 5 up top at certain points, and they were relying on one midfielder to cover for everybody. Now, I don't know, unless Emre Can turns into a world-beating defensive midfielder, I'm not sure that's going to wash later on in the season. And even in this game, if Arsenal had Mesut Ozil fit, an elite player between the lines, then their one lone central midfielder might have really struggled to hold things together. We also have to talk about Alberto Moreno. What a horror show it was for the young left-back. Got absolutely ghosted by Theo Walcott and really just put in a horrible all-round performance. Liverpool knew that this was a position that needs strengthening. We saw them linked with Jonas Hector. We saw them linked with Jetro Willems. We've heard them linked with left-backs, left, right and centre, particularly left, obviously. And it's disappointing that they haven't managed to get a deal over the line. Perhaps we can see Joel Matip slip into the back line and Ragnar Klavan move out wide, but for the time being, the defence looks pretty sloppy. So Liverpool, while you're definitely winners today, there is still work to do if you want to challenge for the title.
Our next losers are Leicester City, who set another record at the weekend, becoming the first Premier League champions ever to lose their opening day game. Pato, what did you make of it?
Well, there was one guy who was conspicuous by his absence yesterday, and it was N'Golo Kanté. The midfield looked all over the place without him, completely structureless. Drinkwater did the best he could, but King is not a very good player. And guess what? Without that protection, Wes Morgan does not look like the Jamaican Franco Baresi that he was fated as last season. Now, there is going to be a shift to a different style. We saw Leicester were building through the wide areas rather than the midfield, because obviously without Kanté there, they also lose a large element of their transition game. But hopefully, when Nampalys Mendy gets up to speed, they can improve. But I don't know why the Frenchman didn't start yesterday, because King looked way out of his depth.
Another player I wasn't particularly impressed with on the day was Musa. Now, there's been a lot of hype about him pre-season. Obviously, a very pacey forward, ripped some teams apart in the pre-season games. However, in the Premier League, you've got to have more facets to your game than just pure pace. Theo Walcott, a prime example of that. Ability to knock it past a player, fantastic. However, in transition, linking up with other forwards, he really struggled with. He did set up Vardy a couple of times. Vardy, however, fluffed his lines, looked quite rusty. However, let's give some credit to Hull City. 13 fit professionals on the day under Mike Phelan, who's a caretaker manager, been brought in at the last minute. Fantastic, fantastic result. And at the end of the season, those 3 points could be vital. They've got a Chinese takeover hanging overhead. So with everything up in the air, they managed to dispatch the champions with consummate ease on the day, really. Snodgrass, fantastic. Klukas, the youngster, also a brilliant, brilliant performance. So hats off to Hull. However, Leicester City, the champions, have got to be doing more, else the media is going to be on your back like a shot.
Our next winners are Manchester United. In a pretty uneventful weekend of Premier League football, a solid away win at Bournemouth is a very good result for the Red Devils. Joe, there's one surprising candidate who you were impressed by.
I was extremely impressed by, wait for it guys, Marouane Fellaini. Now, everybody's been getting on his back. Of course they have under Jose Mourinho. However, in this game, he was fantastic. 99% pass accuracy, and in midfield, he was actually a metronome for once in Blue Moon. He also broke up the play a lot, and he was just the kind of stable sitter that Manchester United needed. Whether or not he'll get a lot of game time once Paul Pogba's fit and not banned, I'm not convinced about. Another player I was very, very impressed with on the day, Eric Barley. He looks a fantastic, fantastic buy from Villarreal. £30 million could end up being a snip if he continues to perform at the level he has in the first 2 games against Leicester and now Bournemouth. 95% pass accuracy, 5 out of 5 aerial duels, 1 possession of the ball 9 times as well. Very, very impressive. For a big man, he's physically strong, he's muscular. You know you're going to get that from him. What I wasn't expecting is him to be so calm and composed on the ball, picking passes out wide, and that is a problem Manchester United have often had. Building from the back, him and Blint were real distributors, so that was very impressive, and we were also pretty good going forward, weren't we, Pat?
Well, yeah, the front line is obviously still taking shape, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic had a pretty decent game. Now, he's an interesting target man for this team, though of course he doesn't remain up front. We saw him kind of interchanging with Rooney, and as we saw at PSG, Zlatan in his old age likes to drop deep and get involved with the play, which also we saw in the past with Robin van Persie. Now his goal yesterday now means that Zlatan has scored on his Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Ligue 1 and Champions League debuts. This guy does score goals. And Wayne Rooney as well, much maligned last season and certainly not the player he was. He will score goals if he's played in this proximity to the net. So there are positives there. However, I think this still does require the addition of Henrik Mkhitaryan in order to glue it all together. He is their one truly elite chance creator. And I think that once he gets in and starts firing, this could be a pretty impressive Rolls Royce of a Man United attack.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. Of course, Man United have also got Paul Pogba to come in as well. That should really help Manchester United transition from midfield. Very, very exciting for Manchester United fans at home. But where do you guys think we will finish? Is it going to be a top 4 finish or a title push? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Our final losers are Borussia Dortmund, who slumped to a 2-0 defeat against Bayern Munich, Pato.
Yes, they lost in the German Super Cup to the German champions. Though it wasn't a game without positives for Dortmund. They had a very, very good first half, created some really good chances for Adrian Ramos and Ousmane Dembele in particular, and Dembele continues to look like an outstanding prospect. He absolutely ghosted Mats Hummels on a couple of occasions, really impressive. And Felix Passlack, the young 18-year-old right back, really, really good as well. Kept pace with Franck Ribéry down the wing. Really good performance from him. So it looks like there is some promise in this team, but a 2-0 loss. And their squad still doesn't look like it's capable of competing with Bayern Munich. On the other hand, in the Spanish Super Cup, our final winners of the week are Barcelona. They won 2-0 in the first leg at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan against Sevilla, thanks to goals from Suarez and Munir. Now, this was an interesting game. Sevilla were very impressive in the first half, really built possession well and strangled Barcelona in the midfield, but Barcelona unsurprisingly rallied. Lionel Messi, what a player, laid on an assist from Munir. A very, very impressive performance, and they now take a 2-0 lead back to the Camp Nou, where they play next week. Now, if you want more information about the Spanish Super Cup game and the German Super Cup, then head over to Euro Football Daily and check out Euro Roundup, where Chris Hamill and I discuss these in a little bit more detail. So those were our winners and losers from this week, but who did we miss out and who would you have included? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you check out last week's viral footy news against Jamie Carragher and Jamie Redknapp, a Mr. and Mrs. special. It's epic. Make sure you click on that on the screen right now. Very funny. And as always, guys, please do like and subscribe.
Catch you next time.